Hey, listen to me. Yes, you. Don't scroll. Don't click away. Not now. Because you're not just watching another video. This moment was carved into time for you. Not randomly. Not lightly. There's a divine alert sounding right now. And your name is attached to it. You feel it already, don't you? That unspoken pressure. The weight in your chest, the feeling that someone, somewhere is watching you, even when you're alone. You've told yourself to ignore it, that you're just being sensitive, that it's stress, or maybe even fear. But, beloved, what if I told you? It's revelation trying to break through. Archangel Michael has been pacing the heavens, waiting for the precise second your spirit was open enough to receive this message. And now, you've reached that second. Only a few minutes left, he says, not because danger is coming, because it's already here. But so is your escape. There's something happening around you right now that isn't obvious. You can't see it in your inbox. You can't hear it in the hallway, but it's unfolding just behind the curtain, and you are the target. Not because you're weak, not because you're unworthy, but because you are close to breakthrough, close to uncovering what they didn't want you to see, and that's what they fear most. Listen carefully. This part is going to sound strange, but you've felt it before, a breath held too long without realizing, a message that didn't deliver, a delay that made no sense, a neighbor looking twice, a dream that left you wide-eyed at 3 a.m. These are not coincidences. These are markers, signs from heaven, signs that something has been trying to reach you. Michael says, the enemy is not always loud. Sometimes they move through silence, through charm, through familiarity. Someone has been wearing a mask around you, a smile on their face, a gentle voice, but a whisper of betrayal behind their back. You've doubted your own intuition because you didn't want it to be true. You've excused things, laughed them off, blamed your discomfort on overthinking. But today, heaven interrupts that pattern, because the longer you deny what you know in your spirit, the longer the delay in your blessing. Let me ask you, why does your peace vanish after certain people leave? Why does your energy drop in rooms that once felt safe? Why do you second-guess things you were once sure of? Because something has shifted, not in the world, in your world, and you weren't meant to face this alone. There's a courier on the way. No, not in a truck, not in a uniform. This is not an Amazon delivery. This is a spiritual dispatch, a divine messenger appointed by the hand of God. And when they arrive, you will know. You'll feel it in your chest, in your breath, in the silence. You might miss it if you're distracted. You might dismiss it if you keep brushing off what your soul is screaming to acknowledge. So heaven says now, clear the noise, breathe, watch. Beloved child, this is sacred, this is urgent, and above all, this is personal. You weren't just guided here, you were brought here out of millions of screens and suggestions. This found you because it was always for you. Heaven has been trying to reach you for days. The pressure in your chest, the shift in your sleep, the sudden silence from certain people, those were the knocks. And today, you open the door. Michael says, you have been watched, not always physically, but spiritually. Your sighs, your fears, your prayers, they've been observed by more than one realm. There are conversations happening behind closed doors, meetings where your name is being spoken, not with kindness, not with truth, but with strategy. Yes, beloved, you've been the topic of someone else's quiet scheme, but you weren't supposed to find out. You weren't supposed to feel it. But heaven said, enough. This is why you haven't been sleeping. This is why peace feels like something you chase instead of something you carry. Because the enemy of your destiny has been plotting in silence, and heaven has chosen today to intervene. Type I receive it if your spirit is already stirring. And comment 911 if this word has reached you at the right time. Subscribe to stay under divine instruction daily. Like this message to align your spirit with God's timing. This is only the beginning. Because in part 2, Michael will reveal The face behind the mask, the one you thought you could trust, the one who stayed silent when your name was on the line, and why heaven has decided to expose them before the damage becomes irreversible. Beloved one, I need you to breathe before you hear this next part, because what you're about to discover may shake you, but it won't break you, because heaven has chosen to reveal it now, not to frighten you, but to free you. You've been wondering why certain people suddenly distanced themselves, why their words grew colder, why their eyes couldn't meet yours anymore. At first, you made excuses. They're probably just busy. They're going through something. They still care, I think, but the truth, they knew what was being said behind your back. They heard the whispers, they saw the signs, and still they stayed silent. They chose their comfort over your truth, their fear over your freedom, their image over your safety. Michael says, the one who should have defended you has already made peace with your enemies. Beloved, this is not an accusation, this is confirmation. You weren't crazy. You weren't dramatic. You weren't imagining it. The spiritual tension you felt around that person was real. The confusion in your chest when they hugged you was real. The dreams that showed their face in distorted ways were real, because your soul recognized what your heart wasn't ready to admit. There is someone in your life right now, someone you once trusted with your secrets, your pain, your peace, and they have been feeding the very thing that's been draining you. Not openly, not loudly, but in silence, in passivity, in avoidance. They watched you struggle and chose to look away. They heard your name misused and said nothing. They saw the cracks form and let them widen. Michael says, this is not about punishment. This is about preparation. You are being prepared to walk forward without the ones who were never meant to cross into your next chapter. And yes, that means letting go of who they were in your memory, letting go of what they used to be for you, letting go of the idea that loyalty is always mutual, because it isn't. You've been loyal to a fault. You've covered others while they uncovered you. You've prayed for them while they plotted around you. You gave them access, and they gave your name to rooms you were never invited into. But today, heaven says, no more. Type Amen if this truth resonates in your chest. Comment, I feel the shift if your spirit is stirring. Like and subscribe if you know this message wasn't random. Let's go deeper. There are signs you may have overlooked. That call they ended quickly when you entered the room. That shift in tone when certain topics came up. That innocent question they asked. That felt too specific. Beloved, these were not harmless. They were indicators, because while you were praying for clarity, they were negotiating your peace behind closed doors. Michael says, do not chase those I am removing. Do not mourn what I'm untying. You've been holding on out of history, out of love, out of habit, but heaven doesn't anoint based on habit. Heaven moves based on alignment, and this person, this smiling face, has become misaligned, not with their actions, with their spirit, and that misalignment is what's been interfering with your atmosphere. Have you noticed your home feels heavier after they visit? Your energy drops for days after seeing them. Your prayer life gets disrupted following their presence. These are not coincidences. These are resonance clashes, because something about them is no longer in agreement with your assignment. And it's time to close that access. Michael says, you don't need to confront them with anger. You only need to recognize the shift and respond in obedience. Heaven isn't asking you to fight them, just to release them, because as long as they remain in your circle, they continue to serve as a point of leakage. Your ideas, your spiritual covering, your emotional strength, everything you've tried to protect, they've exposed not always intentionally, but consistently, and heaven has seen enough. Beloved one, you are not being punished. You are being preserved, and preservation sometimes looks like separation. You are not being abandoned. You are being redirected. Because what's coming next in your life cannot be built on a fractured foundation. The person you trusted has already made their decision, and now so must you. Say aloud, I release what no longer protects me. Type 111 to declare your obedience to the shift. Michael is not just warning you, he is preparing you, because when the courier arrives, they will bring not just breakthrough, but confirmation, and you don't want to share that blessing with someone who already agreed to your downfall. Beloved one, I need you to understand something deeply, more deeply than ever before. You haven't been forgotten. You haven't been left out, and what you've been waiting for hasn't been denied. It's simply been delayed. And for your protection, Archangel Michael says, the courier has been moving in silence, not because your request wasn't heard, but because the interference had to be cleared first. Yes, beloved, what you thought was a no was a not yet. What you assumed was silence was actually strategy. What you felt as absence was divine positioning. Because heaven never misses a delivery, but the timing must be protected, and so must the recipient. Let me ask you something only your spirit can answer. Have you ever felt like something good was just about to happen, and then didn't? Have you noticed signs lining up only for the opportunity to vanish? Have you ever said, it was so close, what happened? That wasn't coincidence. That was the enemy intercepting what was meant for you. Until now, Michael says, this time it will not be stolen. This time I will deliver it myself if I must. Because the courier is not a person in a vehicle. The courier is divine movement wrapped in disguise. It could be a delayed message that suddenly appears, a strange call that feels like more than a coincidence, a dream that names what no one else knows, a knock, a shift in the air, a bird looking through your window. It won't look like heaven at first, but your spirit will know. Beloved one, you were not meant to carry all the weight alone. There has always been an unseen network moving behind the veil. They have warred for you while you slept. They have defended your name in courts you've never seen. They have cleared paths that others tried to block, and the courier has been navigating this all along. The only reason you haven't received it sooner is because the wrong person was standing too close to your gates. Michael says, what was sent to you cannot be shared with those who are misaligned. That's why the silence came. That's why the delay intensified. That's why the waiting became painful, because your space had to be purified, your circle had to be narrowed, your spirit had to be strengthened. Now, beloved, everything is shifting. And I mean everything. The courier is approaching, not carrying a box, but a message, and this message holds the answer to the prayer you stopped praying, the restoration of what you thought was permanently lost, the name of someone who tried to protect you, but was silenced, a scroll with your destiny rewritten in gold. You will know the arrival by the following. Your body will feel warmth from nowhere. A sound in your environment will fall completely silent. Your thoughts will pause, as if heaven holds its breath. A calm will settle that can't be explained, and in that moment, you must receive. But here's the truth, beloved. The courier isn't just delivering something to you, they're delivering something through you. Because what heaven is doing now is not just about recovery, it's about reassignment. You've been in a waiting room, but now the door is opening and your name is being called, and this moment is sacred. Type Zounda if you're ready to embrace your divine delivery. Comment, I receive my scroll, if this resonates in your spirit. Like and subscribe to stay aligned with daily instruction. Let's go even deeper. You've been sensing something strange in the air, the birds acting differently, the quiet moments feeling heavier, the chills for no reason. That's not superstition, that's alignment. Because heaven has already sent the order. The angels have already moved into position. The opposition has already been scattered, and now the delivery begins. Michael says, you will overhear something in the next 48 hours, and it will confirm what I've been trying to show you. It might come through a misdialed call, a forwarded message, a slip of the tongue, a conversation in another room you weren't meant to hear. Do not ignore it. Do not brush it off. This is the activation moment. And the enemy, they're trembling because they know you're waking up. And once you're awake, they lose access. Beloved, this is not drama. This is not paranoia. This is a divine handoff, and your hands must be open to receive. But more importantly, your heart must be guarded, because what is being delivered is too pure to be exposed to mockery, too holy to be touched by shadow. So protect it. Don't share it too quickly. Don't explain your discernment to those who once laughed at it. Just nod. Just obey. Just align. The courier is carrying what they thought was lost, the word you were supposed to receive years ago, the answer that was buried, the reversal the enemy swore would never happen. Michael says, I am delivering it myself. No demon will delay this again. And when it arrives, beloved, don't look back. Don't re-invite the ones heaven removed. Don't question the delivery. Don't second-guess the timing. Just say, so be it. I receive it. Beloved one, what if I told you the one who smiled at your sorrow, the one who nodded while your name was being dragged, the one who stood nearby but never stood for you? What if I told you they are about to be exposed, not by your hand, not by rumor, but by the voice of heaven itself? Michael says, I have seen what they have said when they thought you were not listening. I have watched as they smiled in public and signed papers in secret. Beloved, this isn't metaphor. This is revelation, and it is coming, soon, quickly, powerfully, because God does not allow injustice to linger when obedience has taken root. The time has come, not for revenge, but for recognition, not for drama, but for discernment, not for bitterness, but for balance. Let's speak plainly. You have been targeted, not randomly, not mistakenly. You were selected by jealousy, by insecurity, by fear, because your light unsettled them. Your peace offended them. Your discernment exposed them before a word ever left your mouth. And rather than confront their own reflection, they tried to distort yours. Michael says, their silence was louder than any accusation, and I will not let it remain unchallenged. Beloved, they knew. They knew what was being said. They knew who was in the room. They knew the lies, the exaggerations, the motives, and they stayed. They stayed for status, they stayed for approval, they stayed for self-preservation, but they did not stay for you. And now heaven is stepping in. The conversations they had about you in the dark will be revealed in the light. The agreement they made against your spirit will be shattered by divine decree. The plans they whispered behind doors you were never meant to enter will collapse without your interference. Type, expose them, God, if you're ready for truth to rise. Comment, I claim divine justice, if your spirit is trembling. Subscribe and like if you believe heaven still reveals what men try to bury. Beloved, this exposure will come in unexpected ways. A screenshot you weren't meant to see. A name dropped in a conversation that wasn't supposed to include you. A dream that shows their face and their true thoughts. A voice recording. A mistaken text. An accidental confession. They will say, I didn't mean for that to happen. But heaven says, I did, because your vindication has been written into this moment. This is the chapter where the mask slips. This is the moment when the spotlight turns, not to shame, but to cleanse, not to humiliate, but to protect you. Michael says, do not gloat when it happens. Do not laugh. Do not seek to make it worse, because your elevation will speak for itself. Your calm silence will cut deeper than any reaction ever could, because those who once whispered will now wonder how they ever misunderstood your strength. Let's go deeper. You have tried to forgive them before the apology. You've covered them in prayer while they uncovered you in conversation. You excused what should have been confronted. You loved without limit, and for that, heaven honors you. Because your mercy was not wasted. Your grace was not weakness. Your tears were not in vain. Now the tables are turning, slowly at first, then all at once. You may feel it already, that odd text you got. That friend acting nervous around you, that person who suddenly became distant. They know what's coming. They sense that heaven is no longer quiet, that the sword has been drawn, that Michael is standing at the gate, and what they tried to block is already breaking through. Michael says, "I will not let the one who plotted your downfall escape the consequence of their agreement." This is not cruelty. This is divine consequence, not to destroy them, but to separate them from your destiny. Because if they stayed, they would stain what God is building through you. Beloved one, listen carefully. This moment isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving that you were protected all along. You are not just surviving betrayal, you are stepping into a revelation that will realign everything, and the ones who misunderstood you the most, they will have to admit they were wrong. Say aloud, "God, I trust your timing." Type, "I release the weight," if you're ready to walk in peace. Heaven's exposure is not gossip, it's a holy unveiling. And what is revealed will become the foundation of your restoration. You've carried the silence, now let heaven carry the truth. You've held your breath, now let your name be cleared. They never thought it would come to this. They never imagined the same eyes they underestimated would be the ones watching as their lies fell apart. But heaven writes slowly, "Beloved," and always in ink that cannot be erased. Michael says there is a record in the realm of truth. What they whispered has been heard, and what they plotted has been judged. This is not your doing. This is not your strategy. This is divine recompense, not because you begged for revenge, but because you trusted God to handle what you could not even speak aloud. And now, those who hid behind charisma, those who pretended while poisoning, those who nodded while sabotaging, they are being called out, not by your voice, but by their own reflection. Because heaven is not exposing them to destroy them. Heaven is exposing them to stop them. Beloved, some betrayals do not end with an apology. Some spiritual crimes are not solved with silence. This is not drama, this is justice. And the one who threw your name into the fire is now burning from their own embers. Not because you wished it, but because you refused to match their energy. You kept still, you stayed gentle, you held the line, and now heaven is responding for you. Say aloud, "I do not need to fight what God is revealing." Comment, "Truth is on my side," if you feel this confirmation. Let this be a reminder they didn't get away with it. Not in the spiritual realm, not in the emotional realm, not in the divine record. The tables were always turning. They just didn't hear the creak of the legs shifting beneath them. And now, as exposure unfolds, you must stay focused. Do not watch them unravel. Watch God build you. Because this isn't the end of a conflict. This is the beginning of clear territory. You are stepping into a land where lies cannot follow. You are walking in a light too bright for shadows to hide. And from this point forward, you won't need to explain anything, because your peace will speak. Your elevation will echo, and heaven will make sure they know. Not what you suffered, but who covered you. Beloved one, the moment they walked away, you thought it was over. The betrayal, the silence, the spiritual war. You assumed the departure ended the damage, but Michael says their body left, but their residue remained. There are some wounds, beloved, that don't bleed on the surface, but echo through the atmosphere. You've been feeling the fog, the confusion, the heaviness that won't lift. You've cleaned your space, you've deleted the messages, you've blocked the number, and yet the whispers still circle, the dreams still twist, the energy still lingers. Why? Because what they left behind wasn't physical, it was spiritual. Michael says, the weapons formed in secret were planted in your emotional soil. You must uproot them before the next season begins. Let me explain what's happening when someone exits your life but leaves a spiritual door cracked open. Their words, their bitterness, their envy can still drip into your peace. It looks like feeling drained in your own home. Dreams filled with faces that don't belong anymore. prayers interrupted by unexplained anxiety, old fears returning after months of progress. These are not attacks from new enemies. These are remnants, remnants of those who never had peace, so they sowed unrest in your atmosphere before they left. Beloved, you are not cursed, you are not broken, you are simply still carrying something that was never yours, and today heaven says you have permission to release what didn't start with you. Type, "Cleanse me completely," if you know there's still residue. Comment, "I reclaim my peace," if this hits something deep. Like and subscribe if you feel this message was delivered on divine timing. Let's go deeper. There's a room in your house or a place in your memory that feels off. You walk in and feel the air shift. You remember something, or you feel watched, not because something is there, but because something was left there. Energy is real. Vibration is real, and the enemy knows how to embed disruption in small, subtle ways. Michael says, smiles can bless or bind, words can heal or hex. Be careful what you've normalized, because that joke they made before leaving wasn't just a joke. That look they gave you while hugging you goodbye wasn't just sadness. That dream that keeps replaying with them in it isn't just nostalgia, it's a lingering presence. And lingering presences become footholds if not addressed. So what now? You don't fight energy with emotion. You cleanse it with authority. Here's what heaven is asking you to do. Walk through your space and say aloud, if it didn't come from God, it cannot stay. Anoint your doorposts, even if only with water and prayer. This house belongs to the Lord. Only peace may enter. Renounce the residue. Say their name if you must. I release every word, every wish, every weapon they left behind. Like no fire they tried to snuff out, I will not carry what confused me. I will not nurse what nearly killed me, because here's what's really happening. You're being prepared to receive something pure. But purity cannot mix with residue. The courier is on the way. The message is already near, but heaven will not place holy. Instruction in contaminated space. You must clear the frequency to hear clearly. Michael says, the enemy hopes you mistake the echo for a new attack. Don't be deceived, because it's not starting again. It's simply ending fully now. This is not the return of the storm. It is the final sweep, and after this, peace will settle, but only if you obey. Beloved, this isn't about punishing those who left. It's about cleansing what they left behind. You are not bitter. You are not stuck. You are recalibrating. And what's on the other side of this cleansing is the clearest hearing you've ever had. You will dream vividly, hear without noise, rest without spiritual interruption, discern without confusion. Because your spirit will finally be quiet enough to feel the truth. Say aloud, I am no longer. Their echo chamber. Type 444 to seal your atmosphere. Heaven wants to seal your house, beloved, to lock the spiritual door, to silence the last whisper, to remove even the memory of the pain, because what's next requires clarity, stillness, and full restoration. Beloved, you may have been silent for a long time. You may have walked through seasons where it felt like no one saw you, not even God. But Archangel Michael says, heaven never forgot your name. You weren't overlooked, you were hidden. You weren't denied, you were preserved. You weren't unworthy, you were being readied. Because some callings require time in the shadows, some assignments require protection through isolation, and you, beloved, were called for something too rare to be rushed. Let's speak plainly now. You endured nights where no prayer felt enough. You questioned whether your obedience mattered. You stared at closed doors so long, your hope began to rot. But Michael says, you were being rewritten, not rejected. Beloved, you weren't just being protected from people. You were being protected from premature purpose, because if you had received the blessing before the betrayal, you would have shared it with the ones who poisoned your peace. If you had been lifted before the pruning, The weeds would have risen with you, and what God is doing now requires no thorns in the harvest. Let's pause here. Have you ever felt like your name was being whispered in heaven, but not spoken on earth? That's because the divine registry had not yet released your seal. But now, Michael says, your name is being spoken in the council of heaven, and your time is not approaching, it's arrived. Type, "Heaven remembers me," if this hits you in the soul. Comment, "I reclaim my scroll," if you feel this confirmation. Like and subscribe so the algorithm reflects your alignment. Here's the truth. There is a book in heaven with your name on it. And in that book are written, the days you wept but didn't quit, the moments you forgave without apology, the betrayals you turned into blessings, the silence you transformed into strength. This is not poetic. This is prophetic. Heaven keeps records, and those records are now being unsealed. Michael says, what was hidden from the eyes of men is now honored by the hand of God. You thought it didn't matter, but it was all seen, and now it will be rewarded. There is one final thing you must understand. This moment, this divine release, is not just about what you're about to receive. It's about what you survived to get here, because not everyone who was chosen made it. Not everyone who was anointed lasted this long. Not everyone who saw the same vision had the stamina to wait. But you kept walking. You resisted the urge to become bitter. You laid down revenge. You loved while bleeding. You worshipped with no answers. That posture has pierced heaven, and now heaven responds. Michael says, the window is open. The angels are descending. The door that was sealed now swings wide. What was closed to you will suddenly open. What ignored you will now seek you. What avoided you will now need you. Because heaven has repositioned you. You are no longer the rejected. You are the reference point. You are the proof that God watches, records, and responds. And now the shift begins. You will wake up lighter. You will sense clarity in places you used to feel fog. You will enter rooms and not feel invisible. You will hear your name spoken with reverence, not ridicule. Because your season of silence has expired. Say aloud, my restoration is louder than my betrayal. Type, I claim the reward of endurance. Let's go deeper. Michael wants you to understand something about timing. What you're about to walk into will feel too big for the person you were because it wasn't meant for the old version of you. It was tailored for the one who survived the waiting. And you will not walk in unprepared. You will walk in as one who has authority born from pain, discernment carved by isolation, compassion shaped by rejection, power grounded in stillness. This final release isn't just provision, it's position, it's promotion, it's permanent, and no one will be able to say it was luck. They'll see it was prophecy. Beloved, Michael stands ready. The trumpet has sounded, the book is open, and your name is being called aloud. You will walk through gates you once stood outside of. You will sit at tables that once ignored your hunger. You will speak, and the atmosphere will shift, not because you forced your way in, but because heaven remembered your name. Final affirmation, it's already written. I'm ready now. Comment, my name is known in heaven. This concludes the divine warning. Sequence. If your spirit aligned with every word, stay connected. Heaven doesn't repeat warnings lightly, and this message was sent because you were meant to rise. They will say it happened suddenly. They will say it came out of nowhere, but heaven knows this was never sudden. It was strategic. Every delay was training. Every silence was instruction. Every closed door was a holy reroute. Michael says, you weren't waiting. You were being written into a prophecy. And now that prophecy is unfolding in real time. You didn't just survive. You submitted. You didn't just endure. You obeyed. And now, what's coming wasn't just promised. It's been sealed. This is not just restoration. This is a public announcement. Heaven is making it known. You belong to the throne. Say aloud, I was hidden for a holy reason. Type, "It's my divine release," if this stirs your spirit. They will see it on your face. They will hear it in your words. They will feel it in your presence. Because when heaven speaks your name, creation listens. You are not the same. You are the fulfilled version of what pain tried to prevent. Walk boldly now, not because you forced it, but because heaven endorsed it.